Welcome. My name's Luke from MMA Fancast. I'm joined by the champion of 247 Fighting Championship, 135-pound bantamweight amateur title holder, Cam the Molerat Allgeier. Cam, welcome.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going great, buddy. I had the pleasure of introducing you on this show once by your title because you came on after your belt win to talk about how you won the belt and all those things, which was great. And you're 5-0. We talked a lot about that. And you've been kind enough to be a regular on this show, which I really appreciate. So we're not going to go back and really talk about how you got the belt win, although it was a dominant win over a very tough opponent. And I guess I do have actually one question to ask about that. And that is that Justin Patton, who you defeated for your title win May 22nd, is actually going to be turning pro for 247 Fighting Championships. I'm sure you've heard that. What does it feel like for yourself to know that a person you just beat to earn the title has the skills enough to go pro?
I mean, going pro is one thing. I think he'll do well, but I am looking forward to see how he does exactly. I could go pro. I think 3 fights. I'm pretty sure Serb will approve you or
something like that. It's pretty. It can be a pretty low bar. It can be fairly low. Yeah.
So I mean, I've seen some pros who it's like, oh man, you should definitely still be in amateurs. Patton, I don't think is one of them. I think he's pretty good, and I think his fight's one that I'm going to be personally looking at. Like, okay, where do I stack up in the next level without having to make that commitment? I'm kind of excited for his.
Well, that's a great way of saying it. You just fought Patton. You know his strengths and weaknesses, and obviously he's a very talented fighter, and you gave him all the credit going into the fight. And I remember I quoted you because you had said it on the show that you were going to be showing who the best bantamweight in Pittsburgh is. You know, that happened to be you, but that wasn't a dig on Justin. He's a very good bantamweight himself. What's it like you said, knowing that you can watch his debut and kind of base yourself based off what he does and how he does it?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty fortunate for that. I think that's going to probably inform a lot of my decisions moving forward.
Sure.
I'm not making predictions. I'm not saying what I think is going to happen for the Pittsburgh club. But hypothetically, if he does go out there and he gets, finished in the first round, that's something I couldn't do. Maybe I take a couple more amateur fights. If he goes there, and he beats this guy out for, all 15 minutes, it's like, well, how much longer do I need to be doing amateur? How long until I'm ready to go pro, I think it's a pretty fortunate spot to be in, especially, it's going to be a card that I pretty much got a free ticket to. So that's another bonus.
Absolutely. And I'll get back to that idea here in a second, but I wanted to follow up with how good I think you are mentally in understanding that once you go pro, you can't go back. You have to be very aware of the step that is. And I interviewed you seconds, maybe a minute after you had gotten the belt on May 22nd. I interviewed you just outside the cage, obviously. And that's a question I asked you. And you said right then that you knew you were going to at least stay as an amateur for now because you wanted to continue to test yourself, which I think is such a great mindset to have. Do you think that's mainly your view, or is that also your coaches and the Guerrilla House kind of around you wanting you to really develop to the best of your ability?
I think that's a Guerrilla House mindset. It's, I think you're talking to Sid later today. That's the same thing she's going to tell you is take tough fights now and it'll pay off then. But yeah, that's a Guerrilla House thing. I mean, for me personally, it was like, whenever I took the first fight, it was just like, oh yeah, I've been training for this long. I might as well take a fight, it's like, oh, I did good. I'll take another one, and then third, a fourth, a fifth, and now it's a sixth. But now we're starting to have those talks in the gym. It's like, all right, man, well, we're going to run into two things is what Ray always tells me. It's going to run into one of two things. Either nobody's going to want to fight you because they're not going to want to, take on what should be a pro fight and not get paid, there's not going to be a lot of amateurs that are going to do that. Or it's going to be other guys who, are 6, 7, 8 fights in their amateur career. And at that point, you might as well just go pro, get paid for taking such tough fights.
Yeah, and I'm sure, as Ray pointed out, that is a good problem to have. That's one of those things where you want an amateur to get to the point where their fights are as good as pros, that they're bringing, we'll get to your opponent here in a second, right? Where you're starting to get matched up against guys that are basically pro fights or pro level fights. And that's important, because if you're only fighting, I've seen records on Tapology of guys who have gone pro who've never fought anybody with a winning, just a win, let alone a winning record. And they'll build up 4 or 5 wins against people that literally have never had a win. And then they go pro, and that's not good preparation. So speaking of a high level fight and getting to the point where you're fighting people who are pro level, you're fighting Azure Frederick, and he's 5-0, you're 5-0. Talk about a matchup of 2 guys at the amateur bantamweight division who are just undefeated and obviously future pros. What do you think of Azure? What do you think of a matchup that in your amateur career, 5-0, that you can actually be matched up against another 5-0 guy?
You know, I could not find any of his fights. I found the one in that was on that Derek Brunson show. I forget what that's called, South Carolina. I saw that one. That was a while ago, though. But I really didn't see any of his other fights. So it's just kind of still going into it blind, which, you know, it is what it is. But I do think it's cool to fight somebody else who undefeated. But at the same time, it's like, I don't think I think I fought one person that had a losing record. You know, like I fought good guys all throughout. So it's not, it's cool to, you know, build up the hype. But to me, it's like, okay, well, you know, I fought the first guy I fought, he was 2-1. I think now he's 3-1. Michigan got shut down. Second guy, he has a losing record. Guy I fought in South Carolina, I think he's 4-2, 5-2 now. Bobby, he was good. I don't know what his record is, but he's good. And then you know, Patton's going pro, so it's like I fought good guys all throughout. And you know, it's another good guy. That's kind of how I'm looking at it now.
And obviously that's your mindset. I think I was more talking about from the fans that we don't. Cam, can you hear me?
What's going on?
You froze up, but I hope we can continue. Let's see. I think it's great for the fans to be able to see 2 so well ranked and great records. And so for you as a champion, having the mindset that you just shared makes a lot of sense, that you see it as another good matchup and you're going to continue to test yourself. We're having technical difficulties, so I'm hoping you are still with us. I'm not. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks you so much for watching this interview, even though it got cut short. I'm going to see if we can get him back on and finish up the interview. But thank you for watching this, and do buy tickets to come to 247 Fighting Championships to watch Cam Allgeier in his defense of the bantamweight title. August 7th at the Molerat Convention Center. You can buy tickets from the fighters, or you can also buy tickets from 247fighting.com. It is so important to support local regional fighting, and 247 Fighting Championships is developing great high-level amateurs as well as pros, as well as sending people to UFC and Bellator. They are a can't miss show, both August 7th and August 21st. The 21st is going to be in Johnstown at the Cambria War Memorial. Thanks again for watching the Cam Allgeier interview. And I apologize for technical difficulties. And hopefully everybody can get out to watch him make his defense. And this is Luke from MMA Fancast. Have a great one.